actually think that like women like to be cheated on.
Wait, what?
Every time I ask the girls on the show, it'll be like, we'll talk about cheating, right? They'll bring up their ex that cheated. But my next question is always like, did you stay? And they always say yes. And when I first heard this, I thought it was crazy. I was like, there's no way girls like this
It's more similar
stuff.
to an addiction. It's the roller coaster, and then they go back because they miss.
Yeah. Did any of them tell you they liked being cheated on?
I mean, they didn't say that, but their actions, it's like,
A lot of women like to stay in relationships. So do they like it because they stay there?
see, I feel like this is like a trap question. It's like a trap. It's like, this is what
Do
they do.
you
They try to
think
trap
addicts
you.
like to be addicts?
Honestly, I think some addicts do. I do. No, this is,
Do you think
I have
majority?
relatives that are addicts. They
All
just
right.
keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Based. Okay.
Destiny was tapped out.
Yeah, because
What a
she didn't
stupid-
answer the question.
Yeah.
Just because you have addicts in your life that keep doing whatever their addiction is doesn't mean that they like doing whatever their addiction is.
Yeah. Women don't like being cheated on, and women don't like being in abusive relationships. That is nonsense. There's reasons for why they go back to the abusive relationships, and the cycle of abuse continues. But I don't think I've ever met somebody that enjoys being abused. Nobody enjoys it. And if they say they enjoy it, there's been some sort of psychological damage that has been done.
She will ask a question, get an answer, and just make assumptions about that answer without making any follow-up questions, and then take that out to the rest of the internet and just spew it as if it was fact.
Well, the thing is, yes, Pearl does this thing where, like, Destiny asked her that question, and she said, honestly, I don't know. And then she said, I think so. But when the girls do that on her podcast, when she asks them the questions, she'll be like, oh, the data shows this, the data shows that. But they never actually pull up the data. The data that they're talking about, I don't actually have a clue what they're on about half the time, because they never pull it up. And you would think somebody that has a laptop in front of them, if you're having a discussion about that and you've got several people that can hold the conversation, you would quickly just check to see if what you're saying is true. I don't think there's any data that suggests that women enjoy being cheated on. There's nothing that suggests that women enjoy being in abusive relationships or people in general. And I don't think addicts want to be addicts. There's a whole host of reasons for why they are addicts.
Why do you think they're getting divorced? Do you think divorce is fun?
I think women divorce for no reason all the time.
No.
The reasons they
Can I tell you the reasons? Because I researched it.
You're actually a child. What do you think love is? You're just like romantically going away to Venice like every year, and that's
I mean,
like no. A relationship requires a lot of deliberate work. Things like chores are where relationships start to break down, and it'll steamroll into bigger things. A guy not doing chores ever might be a guy that you don't want to anymore, and then you not having sex ever might be you guys just don't get along anymore. And like 3 months into it, you hate each other, and you don't know why, and you're not sleeping together even. You're not having any sex. You don't do anything together, and it starts over small. But anybody that's been in any relationship long term, these little things will pile up and kill you.
My whole argument is that I think divorce is stupid over chores. I think that's stupid.
I think it's really funny that when we have these conversations, we say, LOL, just chores, LOL, just chores. But then when I go on any Red Pill podcast and I say, what is a perfect wife? What's a perfect woman? The only thing that the men say are women that do chores. I want a woman that takes care of the house, that cooks me a clean meal, that makes sure that my home is in order. Those are chores.
I think she's not understanding the actual concept of what he was getting at there, because she's just grasping onto this one key word, chores, without taking into consideration what he said can surround this whole topic.
No, what I think is actually happening here is sometimes I think Pearl makes good points, and I appreciate her like representing the male side sometimes, but sometimes because her audience is predominantly male, she'll get asked a question that might call into question some of the things that her audience might believe, and she won't answer it honestly. How is getting divorced over chores a stupid thing? Like, it spirals into so many things that Destiny said. I'm not going to repeat what Destiny said. My problem is that Pearl, with her big platform, sometimes is not honest with the things that she's saying. I remember she said that she doesn't think women should be allowed to vote because they don't get drafted into the military. And I don't know if she was joking or not, but that's such a dumb thing to say.
This is the thing. I'm actually quite surprised at them two clips, because it's, from what I've seen, it's not like Pearl to not be able to answer something and not be able to answer something with actual logical thinking behind it.
Well, I think from what you've seen of Pearl, I've shown it to you, but I've watched full episodes. And the thing is that a lot of the time, Pearl will get her point across because the level of brain cells on her podcast don't really exceed 3. Like, there's normally people on the podcast and not the people that are working for her, the people they bring on, that can't challenge what they're saying. And Then when Pearl and her co-host push them, they get angry and sometimes leave or start shouting.
Like the female Fresh and Fit, basically.
Essentially, like, I'm not saying that Pearl doesn't always make never makes a decent point. She does. Like, even like Myron makes good points as well. But when they're pressed, like what Destiny just did, her response was so childlike. She didn't give. There was no empirical data to support what she said. There was nothing. There was no examples to pull from apart from the fact that it might have happened to her relatives. I think she said. I don't know, man. Like, sometimes I watch Pearl's podcast and I'm disappointed at some of the things that she says because they're just not rooted in facts at all. People break up because of chores all the time. All the time. How many times have you heard women complain that you know, they come home and the guy's just sitting there, he's not doing anything, and she's been out working all day. If she was not working, if she was the one that was at home day in, day out, and there's no kids, then yeah, obviously, if I'm out working, I expect her to do something in the house. But if you're both out there working, you've both got to pull your weight. With the economy that we live in now, I don't think it's possible for regular people to just work one job and have a family. I'm pretty sure most people have to work now. So the responsibility has to be shared on some level. And if you don't like doing certain chores, maybe you can come up with ways to balance it out. Like if you cooked and I cleaned, or if I cooked and you cleaned. Like, saying that there's no reason to get divorced because of chores is such a weird thing to do. Guys would divorce women for sitting around doing nothing. You're just sitting around doing nothing, taking my money. You're not keeping the house together while I'm out working 10 hours a day. I'm not going to stay with you. So why would a woman do that if she's also working? I guess I just wish she was a bit more honest on her podcast. But yeah, that's all I really got.